Today in PSHE, we are writing our own mini risk assessment. So, what is a risk assessment? In lots of different jobs, people have to write risk assessments, and it's a big document where you identify all of the risks involved in a given job or activity. You evaluate how serious those risks are, so how likely it is something will go wrong, and then how bad the outcome would be if something did go wrong. And then you try and put in lots of different control measures to reduce that risk, and you evaluate how much risk is left. So, for a sports day, for example, one of our risks might be that it will be a hot and sunny day, putting people at risk of sunburn. It's quite likely that if people spend all day outside in the sun, they will get burnt. So I've put that as a 4, and the severity of outcome is a 3. It would be quite bad if everybody got a sunburn on our sports day. So our control measures are that we're going to have a rule that everyone participating must be wearing a hat. We're going to make sure that sun cream is made available, and we're going to have shaded areas for people to wait in. So now we've reduced the likelihood that something will go wrong. Now it's only down to a 2, and the remaining severity of outcomes, so rather than being quite bad, it would be a minor impact instead. So we've managed to reduce that amount of risk by putting in some control measures. So when we're assessing risk, we're still going to be using the same 2 scales that we have been using. So when we're looking at how likely it is that something will go wrong, it will go from a 1, so that means it's almost impossible that it will happen, up to a 5, which means it's almost certain it will happen. And then the severity of the outcome, so how bad the outcome would be if something did go wrong, will go from insignificant, so that's barely noticeable, to catastrophic, so very serious. So here is the scenario that we are going to be writing a risk assessment for. So school has returned back to normal. A group of children have decided to organise a bake sale to raise money for a charity. They're planning to bake the cakes, cookies and biscuits themselves, and then they'll bring them into school. They will set up a table outside at the end of the day and sell to parents, children and staff. People will be bringing in cash to purchase the cakes. So today we are looking at identifying possible risks for our bake sale and evaluating them. We're not looking at the control measures yet. We will be working on those next week. So I've written down 2 possible risks for our bake sale. I've said that people might bring in £20 or £50 notes that they want to pay with, so we might run out of change, or we might not give them the correct change if they're buying with such large amounts of money. The likelihood that this will happen, I've said, is almost certain. I'm almost certain that someone will show up to our bake sale with a £20 or a £50 note. The severity of outcome, if I had to turn them away from the bake sale, or if I gave them the incorrect change, I've said that would be quite bad for us. That would be a 3. My second risk is if it's a hot day, some of the icing on the cakes might melt, or if cakes have dairy, we also don't want them sitting out in the heat because they might go off. So the likelihood that might happen, we never know with the weather. It could be a really hot day on the day, so I've said that that's a 4, and the severity of outcome, I've also said that that would be quite bad, so a 3. So now it's up to you to have a think about your own risks for this event.